Hey, Pastor Ray Barnett here with you. Glad that you could be with me here at the Oasis. And as always, I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time you're watching this broadcast. Beautiful day here in upstate New York. We had a huge downfall last night. And of course, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, they've had some real issues, as is the case around the world with many, many things. Today, I would like to talk to you about resisting the temptation to diagnose yourself. Now, there may be a few of you, it could be a lot of you, I don't know, that just, you don't diagnose yourself, but experience in working with people who have nervous symptoms. They have a tendency to diagnose themselves. And if you are the type of person who has some type of protracted anxiety, depression, and mental health issue, you're probably in the habit of diagnosing yourself. What do I mean? Okay. Chest pain means heart attack. Stomach pain means a cancer. Headaches, constant headaches, means a brain tumor. And of course, when you think of things rationally, you say, well, that sounds kind of, and especially if that's not what you do, that sounds kind of stupid, kind of silly. But the truth is, many, many people do it. I mean, you get a sudden chest pain, and you know, your mind just kind of automatically goes over to, must be my heart, something wrong with my heart. But what I want to tell you is that because you feel something does not make it a fact. Now, there's some of you that watch, and I know that one of your main symptoms has been palpitations, and so they frighten you, and you run not only to a cardiologist, back to the cardiologist. And that's pretty much standard. I mean, you know, but once you've been checked out, as I've told you so many, many times, you've been checked out 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And it really doesn't mean that there's still not something, you know, organically wrong, because sometimes, you know, things are missed. But for the most part, you can rest assured this is a nervous symptom. So what I'm saying is that there are many, many people who have nervous symptoms that have a habit of diagnosing themselves. Now, this is not wise. If your area of expertise, well, even if it was in medicine, it's still not a good idea to diagnose yourself. It's like the old saying about lawyers: the lawyer who represents himself has a fool for a client. Just not a good idea to represent yourself in the case of law court, lawsuit. And if you were a doctor, it's good to have your peers check you out. That's on a professional level. That's even if you have a medical degree or some experience in the field. But you have the average person with nervous symptoms that will just jump to a conclusion. Now, let me go back to a chest pain. A chest pain, and somebody's going to say, oh, heart disease, heart attack. That's for like almost everybody, you know, an average person, they're going to worry about that. But first of all, because we're presented with it so much in the media. I mean, pharmaceutical companies, you know, they run these commercials all the time, and even things you never thought of, which is, by the way, a good example. You know, we're told on television and in the media, better get yourself checked out for this, for that, for this, for that. This could be dangerous, this could be dangerous. And that's not really healthy for you. Not healthy for anybody, I guess, but especially for you, because that gets you to worrying and so on. But what's even worse than the commercials on television, the things you're reading in the magazine, and a special somebody does on television, is when you're diagnosing yourself. And in protracted cases, which may not be yours, You can have, I'll just say psychiatric patients, they will actually go into a doctor's office, psychiatrist's office, and insist that they change the diagnosis from simple nervous tension type headaches to it's a tumor. I mean, again, that may sound extreme for some of you, but that's the case. All right, so you say I'm not there. I'm not at that level. I don't do that type of diagnosing. But my guess is that I won't say the majority, that there are many, many of you that diagnose yourself on a regular basis. And so what happens is that you have become your own worst enemy. Now, don't get me wrong on this here. I've done plenty of self-diagnosing in the past. But that's why I'm here teaching you. I've learned not to do it. I've learned that not every... Here's an example. I have a friend of mine who's a very... I'll call him brilliant. But he's a very good chiropractor. I mean, he's really, really good. Very smart. Really up on the stuff. Knows his anatomy. I mean, just really, really good. And this is an expert, a friend of mine. And he got a pain somewhere deep in his quad, his leg. And what was the first thought that went to his mind? Gee, I hope it's not bone cancer. You see, part of this is the training. I say training. Part of this is the brainwashing that we're constantly getting from the media, salespeople, whatever. And part of it is just human nature. We have a tendency to go right to the extreme. Chest pain means heart attack. Stomach pain means stomach cancer. And then you just kind of go along those lines. Brain tumor, because I always get headaches, must be a tumor. So I want to just share with you that you have to break the habit of diagnosing yourself. I often tell this to people, just average people, you know, if they go to a doctor and they're checked out and they're not happy with that diagnosis, then you get a second opinion. I've done it. I've done it on several occasions. I'm not happy with that. Maybe sometimes I'm not happy with the way the doctor handled himself or herself and just not listening to what I'm saying, so I go get another opinion. But thankfully, many times it just goes right back to what the doctor said in the first place, my first doctor, original doctor, and then sometimes no. Either way, you want a competent medical professional to check you out. Not happy with that? Get the second opinion. Third, if you have to. But once it's narrowed down to it's a nervous habit, it's well, you know, you've heard it's psychological. The thing that really bugs people that have nervous symptoms like you, when someone says it's all in your mind, the thing that really bugs people like yourself is that the fact is they're right. Now I know that stings, right? And you don't really trust or like the source that said it to you. It's all in your mind. But many times that is the case with people that have nervous symptoms like yourself. Well, I've known cases where a person would prefer to have a different diagnosis just not to prove the other person right, that all along it was a psychological, a nervous issue, psychological issue. And what kind of response is that? Let me give you an example. Some of you may be familiar with the discovery of this elliptical object that came from another galaxy into our galaxy 5 years ago. Oumuamua, that's what the name of it was. Only could observe it for 11 days because it was moving so fast, left our solar system. And then, you know, they come up with these theories. Now, one professor from Harvard, a very well-known, well-respected professor of astrophysics, made a statement that I don't think this is just a comet or an asteroid, that this actually came from some type of intelligent life someplace in another galaxy. And believe it or not, some of his well-respected colleagues made this statement: A, they didn't like that statement, and number two, they wished that it never appeared at all. And his comment was, and I agree with it, his comment was like, why would you say that? I mean, if there's something else that brings evidence to the table, some physicists and so on are now challenging the theory of the Big Bang and whatever. And they're supposed to be, what do you say, neutral, and it's not even in science are they often neutral. They would prefer, let's not just deal with this. We know what it is, when they really don't know what it is. Well, that's the same for you. You say, I know this is a tumor and I know this is my heart. But the truth is, and you've got to realize that you don't know. And again, if you've been checked out enough times and you say, well, I don't like the fact that my doctor is just not understanding that I'm telling you that this is, well, that's the reason that nervous symptoms keep on going and going, because you're not coming to a place where you begin to realize that experts are telling you nothing to worry about here. Your heart is fine, your stomach is fine. Well, I mean, it may not be fine, you got pain or something, but it's not cancer, and the headache is not a tumor, and on and on. All right, so today's takeaway in today's lesson is a very simple one. Stop diagnosing yourself. Stop insisting that, look, I'm telling you this is that. Because I may ask you, say, well, what did the doctors say? And they have something that's opposite of what you're promoting. And that's what you want to believe, because it takes you out of the, listen, here it is. It takes away the responsibility of controlling yourself, of controlling your thoughts, of treating your symptoms as just kind of average events that happen, but you experience, as you know, you experience it more intensely and for a longer period of time than the average person. But when it comes down to it in the end, I'll just use a loose expression, it's just nervousness. And you may not like that, but if you really want to be free, you got to accept the fact that after all the checking out that you've had and everything else, those experts that are telling you that these are nervous symptoms, you have to accept that and then deal with them as such. That's what I teach here, how to deal with them. And today I'm telling you, do not diagnose yourself. If you have a question about anything in your health, find a competent medical professional. One is not enough, go see 2 or 3. Once it keeps coming back to this is what it is, or this is probably what it is, then you have to break that habit of self-diagnosing and accept the fact that what you're suffering from are simply, I'll just say, nervousness. That's a very broad term for a lot of stuff that we discuss here. You're suffering from nervous symptoms. Stop diagnosing yourself and get on with the instructions that you have and the assignments that you have, and be free, totally free. So let me pray for you today. I do pray for my friends that they will stop diagnosing themselves, find someone that can diagnose them, and accept that, especially when it comes back to being nervous symptoms, that this is just an overly sensitive nervous system. And God just help them to have deliverance and freedom, I pray, in Jesus' name. Amen. Just a real quick thought that I don't deal with too much on this subject, but on this broadcast rather, but it's the subject of demonic presence and demonic influence. It's something I don't want to get into too much here, because I have to really teach on it, because when people have fear in their life, they're going to jump over there too, and everything becomes a demon. But there is that biblically to think about. If you're interested in me going into that, leave a comment. Leave me a message. All right, so God willing, I'll be with you here again tomorrow on the Oasis. As always, I give invitations to those of you just tuning in. It's a small group. It's our advantage. We accent that to our advantage, that it's a small group. And if you're interested in being with us, just subscribe. Hit the notification button. And you don't mind, just give me a thumbs up if you got something out of this. And we'll be good. Again, God willing, I'll be with you here again tomorrow on the Oasis. And until that time comes, make sure that the peace of Christ rules in your heart. God bless, and I'll see you again right here tomorrow on the Oasis.